Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, September 12th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's edition of AEW Dynamite, broadcast live on TBS from the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. In the main event, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher won a 9-team tag team casino gauntlet match to earn a shot at the Young Bucks World Tag Team title. Also on the show, Nigel McGuinness laid down a challenge for AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson.
Tony Khan knows a money match when he sees one. So at Grand Slam, it will be Bryan Danielson. Take a breath, Bryan. Against Nigel McGuinness!
Oh my God.
TNT champion Jack Perry successfully defended his title in the opener against Lio Rush, while women's world champion Mariah May beat Queen Aminata in a non-title eliminator match. During a promo segment, Darby Allin confronted Jon Moxley, agreeing to put his world title shot on the line against Moxley in 2 weeks at Grand Slam.
My man, I'm going to cut right to the chase. You have a world title shot in the bank. That was supposed to happen at Grand Slam on September 25th in New York City. That's not going to happen now. The world champion is indisposed. But it's a good thing. It's a blessing in disguise, Darby. You are not ready. You are not ready to be a world champion. You weren't ready 5 years ago. You weren't ready 2 years ago. You're not ready today. I don't have time to explain, but I'm going to need you to hand over that title shot to me.
In other results, Big Bill, Brian Keith, and Chris Jericho defeated the Iron Savages, and Ricochet pinned Sammy Guevara. After the match, Guevara saved Ricochet from an attack by the Beast Mortos. Also on the show, Private Party and Commander came out for a match against the Spanish Announce Project, but the match never happened as the trio was attacked by the foursome of Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, Pac, and Marina Shafir. In ratings news, Tuesday night's NXT drew an audience of 628,000 viewers to USA Network, according to the Pro Wrestling Torch. That's slightly down from last week's audience of 631,000. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a .19, up slightly from last week's demo rating of .17. The episode ran against the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, which does not appear to have had a significant impact on the viewership. And finally, in WWE news, the company looks to be reducing its house show schedule in the future, as was elaborated upon by TKO president Mark Shapiro yesterday. Speaking at the Goldman Sachs Communicopia and Technology Conference, Shapiro stated, quote, "We're cutting events at WWE. We're taking our low-margin, marginally profitable events, untelevised events that Vince put in place to grow the brand, the WWE brand. While we still have to grow it, it's on fire right now. We don't need to carry these marginally profitable events. What was 300 events last year will be roughly 250 this year, and next year will be close to 200, end quote. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.